मैं सुबह से सभी वक्ताओं को बड़े ध्यानपूर्वक सुन रहा था और इस चर्चा का प्रारंभ माननीय रक्षा मंत्री जी ने किया। बड़े संवेदनशीलता के साथ उन्होंने भारत की परंपरा और आधुनिकता का मिश्रण प्रस्तुत किया। एक सुखद संयोग है कि ये जो विशेष सत्र सदन का हो रहा है, इसमें पहले 2 दिन जिन 2 विषयों पर चर्चा हो रही है, ये एक तरह से प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी के नेतृत्व की सरकार की प्राथमिकताओं को भी दर्शाता है। एक और महिला संरक्षण बिल इस हाउस से पारित हो चुका, कुछ ही समय में राज्यसभा में भी उसको लिया जाएगा और दूसरी चर्चा चंद्रयान को लेकर के। और जिस प्रकार आज सुबह जैसे ही हाउस की बैठक प्रारंभ हुई, प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी ने स्वयं यहां पर उपस्थित रह करके कल रात्रि महिला संरक्षण बिल के पारित होने पर अभिनंदन भी किया और अपने सच्चे मन से धन्यवाद भी प्रकट किया। और ठीक उसी तरह जब वो अमेरिका यात्रा से लौटे तो दिल्ली पहुंचने से पहले उन्होंने बंगलौर जाकर के चंद्रयान की सफलता पर वहां जाकर के वैज्ञानिकों का अभिनंदन किया। कुल मिलाकर के ये दोनों विषय ऐसे हैं जो इस सरकार की प्राथमिकताओं को भी दर्शाते हैं और जिस प्रकार भारत एक प्रगतिशील यात्रा पर निकल चुका है उसका भी प्रतीक है। जहां एक और नारी सम्मान हमारी परंपरा, हमारी सभ्यता का एक हिस्सा रहा है, वहां दूसरी ओर आधुनिक युग में किस प्रकार भारत के आने वाले अमृत काल में नारी को इस विकास यात्रा में एक प्रमुख भागीदार बनाना, वो इस बात का प्रतीक है। और जिस तरह से चंद्रमा पर को लेकर के सदा अटकलें लगाई जाती थी हमारे कहानियों में, उपन्यासों में, कि चांद की धरती कैसी होगी, कैसे लोग बसते होंगे, कैसा दृश्य होगा, उन पहेलियों का वैज्ञानिक उत्तर ढूंढने का रास्ता भी चंद्रयान ने ही हमवार किया। और भले ही अमेरिका ने आज जैसे सुबह कहा जा रहा था, शशि थरूर जी ने और अन्य कुछ हमारे मित्रों ने पूरी क्रोनोलॉजी बताई कि सबसे पहले 1969 में चांद की धरती पर मानव उतारा था नील आर्मस्ट्रांग, जो वहां कुछ टहले भी थे। उन्होंने वहां एक पहुंच करके वक्तव्य दिया जो बड़ा प्रसिद्ध हुआ। उन्होंने कहा, 1 स्मॉल स्टेप फॉर मैन, जाइंट स्टेप फॉर मैनकाइंड। लेकिन हम सब के लिए, हम चाहे इस तरफ बैठे हैं कि उस तरफ, गर्व का विषय ये है कि नील आर्मस्ट्रांग वहां स्वयं होकर के आए, टहलपोशी करके भी आए, परंतु उनको वहां पर पानी नहीं दिखाई दिया। वो हमारा चंद्रयान था जो जाकर के वहां पर जल होने का प्रमाण लेकर आया। मैं बिल्कुल आगे चलेंगे, अभी मैं बताऊंगा। मैं कुछ एक विषय उठाए गए हैं कुछ एक मित्रों द्वारा, उसका मैं बिंदुवार उत्तर देने का प्रयास करूंगा, परंतु चूंकि ये खुशमय माहौल है सेलिब्रेशन का, इसलिए पहले 5 मिनट में दूसरी एक बात रखूं। चंद्रयान की इस लगभग 2.5 महीने की यात्रा में, कि 14 जुलाई को गया था, बड़े महत्वपूर्ण पड़ाव रहे हैं। कुछ एक ऐसे जहां थोड़ी बहुत चिंता भी होती थी, एंजाइटी भी होती थी, एप्रीहेंशन भी होती थी, जो संवेदनशील भी थे और ये अटकलें भी लगाई जाती थी कि ऐसा होगा कि नहीं होगा। उसमें सबसे पहला जबकि वो धरती के ऑर्बिट से निकल करके उसे चंद्रमा के ऑर्बिट में जाना था, तो लगभग 20 बार उसने इस प्रकार से परिक्रमा की भारत धरती की। और उसके बाद क्योंकि हमारी जैसे कहा गया कि केवल 600 करोड़ की ये मिशन था, जबकि रूस का मिशन उसी समय जो चल रहा था वो 12,000 करोड़ का, यानी कई गुना ज्यादा। लेकिन हमारी जो बौद्धिक क्षमता थी, हमारे सेरिब्रल रिसोर्सेज वर मच बिगर इन प्रोपोर्शन। तो ग्रेविटेशनल फोर्सेस के माध्यम से हमने 120 बार परिक्रमा की, जैसे गाड़ी आप न्यूट्रल पर लगाते हैं और पेट्रोल बचाते हैं। वो एक संवेदनशील क्षण था जब उसे निकल करके दूसरे ऑर्बिट में जाना था। वैसे होता है कि गाड़ी चलते चलते आप ट्रैक बदलते हैं और दूसरी ट्रैक पर जाते हुए रास्ते में कोई मिसहैप ना हो। तो वो पहला क्षण था संवेदनशील, वो उसने सफलतापूर्वक हासिल किया, कामयाबी से उसको निभाया और वो चंद्रमा के ऑर्बिट पे चला गया, जहां उसने 20 सर्कल लगाए, ऐसे बाहर से होते 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 धीरे 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 अंदर आके, और फिर आखिरी क्षण थे जब आप सबने टेलीविजन पर देखा, जब केवल 400-600 किलोमीटर रह जाते हैं तो यकदम उसकी रफ्तार 6,000 किलोमीटर प्रति घंटा से घट करके 150 किलोमीटर हो जाती है और 4 इंजन में से 2 इंजन बंद हो जाते हैं। और फिर उससे भी अधिक जो एक रोचक क्षण भी होते हैं और थोड़े से एंग्जाइटी वाले भी, जब वो लगभग 100-150 मीटर धरती के सतह के करीब पहुंचता है, उस समय उसका कम्युनिकेशन हमारे साथ बंद हो जाता है। और फिर ये इम्तहान है कि हमने विक्रम को किस कदर प्रशिक्षित किया था। जैसे आप एक सैनिक तैयार करके भेजते हैं फ्रंट पर, तो मौके पर उसने कब गोली चलानी है ये उसके हाथ में है। तो वो हमारी परख थी कि वो वहां लैंड कर पाएगा कि नहीं, क्योंकि जब बिल्कुल नजदीक पहुंच जाता है तो फिर वो थोड़ा सा उसको वक्त मिलता है 2-4 किलोमीटर के रेडियस में ये तय करने का कि मैं कहां पहुंचूं, और उसके लिए टाइम लाइन होती है। क्योंकि अगर आप गाड़ी स्वयं ड्राइव कर रहे हैं तो आप रोक सकते हैं, लेकिन वो नहीं कर पाएगा। वो टाइम लाइन हट जाए तो वो फिर लैंडिंग मुलतवी हो जाती है। लेकिन वो क्षण भी बड़ा स्मूथली निभाया गया। ये मैं घटनाक्रम इसलिए सुना रहा था कि मुझे हर्ष है इस सदन के साथ ये बात साझा करते हुए, और शायद औपचारिक तौर से पहली बार हो रही है कि आज भी जब हम ये चर्चा कर रहे हैं तो कुछ ही घंटे के बाद हमें इंतजार है इस बात का कि क्या विक्रम और प्रज्ञान अपनी नींद से जाग जाएंगे, और इस वक्त सारा प्रयास उस ओर है। तो मैं चाहूंगा कि विवाद से ऊपर उठ करके हम चंद्रयान की दूसरे मरहले की यात्रा के लिए प्रार्थना भी करें और प्रयास भी करें। अब से कुछ ही समय के बाद ज्यों-ज्यों यहां शाम ढलने लगेगी, सायकाल के साए लंबे होने लगेंगे, हम सब रात की चादर ओढ़ करके सोने की तैयारी करेंगे, तो धीरे धीरे चांद पर सूर्योदय होगा। क्योंकि वहां 14 दिन का, हमारे 14 दिन, उनका एक दिन, तो 14 दिन की रात वहां पे अब समाप्त होने लगी है। अब भोर फटने का समय आया है। चिंता केवल ये होती है कि वहां पर रात -150 डिग्री टेम्परेचर जाता है और दिन को +100, यानी मैक्सिमम और मिनिमम में इतना अधिक फर्क है। हमने सोलर बैटरीज की व्यवस्था कर रखी है, हमारी बैटरीज भरी हुई हैं और पैनल्स को इस दिशा में रखा है कि जो ही सूर्योदय हो वो फिर से सूरज की रोशनी को कैच करना शुरू कर दे। अब केवल जो हम सबको थोड़ी सी एंग्जाइटी करेगी वो क्षण, जैसे मैंने कहा, जो पहले के कुछ सेंसिटिव क्षण थे, वो ये कि हमारा जो कम्युनिकेशन सर्किट है वो एक्टिवेट होना चाहिए उस बैटरी से। तो वो कम्युनिकेशन सर्किट एक तरह का वेकअप सर्किट उसे बोलते हैं। मान लीजिए जैसे कि अलार्म है, और जो ही, क्योंकि -10 डिग्री से ऊपर टेम्परेचर आ पाएगा तो तभी वो सर्किट काम करेगा। क्योंकि इतनी ज्यादा ठंड में वो सर्किट काम नहीं करेगा, भले ही बैटरी भरी हुई है। तो अब हम सारे टीम इसरो के सारे साथी और हम सब इस मिशन से जुड़े हुए एक एक क्षण घड़ी देख करके इस प्रतीक्षा में है कि जैसे सूर्योदय हो तो सर्किट का टेम्परेचर थोड़ा बढ़े, वहां पर बढ़ना शुरू हो, वो एक्टिवेट हो, और जैसे ही वो एक्टिवेट होगा तो वेकअप कॉल जाएगी। विक्रम आंखें मलते मलते जाग उठेगा और प्रज्ञान भी उठ खड़ा होगा 14 दिन की नींद के बाद, और फिर वो अद्भुत बात होगी जो आज तक कभी ना हुई। चांद के साउथ पोल पर जाकर के विक्रम और प्रज्ञान का नींद में सोना और नींद से जाग करके फिर एक्टिव होना, पहली बार दुनिया में। और मुझे विश्वास भी है, और जिस प्रकार लगन और निष्ठा और मेहनत के साथ हमारे वैज्ञानिकों ने दिन रात काम किया है कि हम इसमें सफल रहेंगे। और कल जब सारे देश में महिला संरक्षण बिल के पास होने का जश्न मनाया जाएगा, प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी का अभिनंदन किया जाएगा, हमारे पास शायद वो भी अवसर हो कि हम इस बात का भी जश्न मनाएं कि हिंदुस्तान वो पहला मुल्क है जिसने साउथ पोल पर विक्रम और प्रज्ञान को भेजा, उनको नींद में सोने दिया, और जब वो जगे तो उनको फिर से काम पर लगा दिया। ये वेकअप और पोस्ट वेकअप एक्टिविटी अगर हमारी सफल हो जाती है, कुछ ही घंटों के भीतर इसका पता चल जाएगा, तो हम दुनिया के पहले देश होंगे। उसके बाद हम, चूंकि रोवर हमारा थोड़ा चलना शुरू कर गया है, कोई 100 मीटर उसने अपनी पोजीशन बदली है, तो मुमकिन है हम उसे थोड़ा और स्थान परिवर्तन करने में सफल रहें, और फिर भिन्न भिन्न प्रकार के प्रयोग रहेंगे। उसमें तकनीकी तौर पर कुछ सॉइल एक्सपेरिमेंट्स रहती हैं, जैसे सुबह हमारे कुछ एक साथियों ने यहाँ बताया कि सल्फर के को लेकर के, एलिमेंट्स को लेकर के, मिनरल्स को लेकर के। दूसरी श्रेणी के प्रयोग रहते हैं एनवायरमेंटल को, और तीसरी श्रेणी के रहते हैं हमारे सिस्मिक एक्टिविटीज को, कि जैसे यहां पर भूकंप आते हैं, झटके लगते हैं भूचाल के, ऐसी थरथराहट वहां भी होती रहती है। तो अगर ये होता है तो हमारा सेकेंड फेज ऑफ चंद्रयान 3 is about to take off in the next few hours, and the moment of anxiety now is that we are waiting for the wake-up call to get activated and Vikram and Pragyan to respond to that alarm. Once they do, then the communication from the earth will begin, and we will be the first in the world to have accomplished this. अब इसके बाद कि मैं अगली बातें करूं, कुछ एक बिंदु जो उठाए गए, जस्ट टू पुट द रिकॉर्ड स्ट्रेट। माननीय रक्षा मंत्री जी ने तो बड़े विस्तार में हमारे प्राचीन परंपरा को किस तरह से आधुनिकता के साथ जोड़ करके एक मिश्रण भरी संस्कृति स्थापित करने का प्रयास हुआ इस सरकार में, उसका एक आपके सामने चित्र रखा। लेकिन कुछ कुछ बातें उठाई गई, लेकिन रोचक बात यह है कि हमारे उस तरह से भी कुछ एक मित्रों की जो आलोचना थी, उस आलोचना में ही उत्तर था, तो मुझे कोई उत्तर देने में कठिनाई नहीं। उदाहरण के तौर पर हमारे मित्र शशि थरूर जी कह रहे थे कि हमारे यहाँ वैज्ञानिक बहुत प्रतिभाशाली थे, और वो उल्लेख कर रहे थे उस चित्र का जिसमें सारा भाई बाईसाइकिल पर अपना सामान लेकर के जा रहे थे। और साथ ही साथ उन्होंने कहा कि ऐसा कहना मुनासिब नहीं कि सब कुछ 2014 के बाद ही हुआ, तब भी हो रहा था। लेकिन जाने अनजाने में वो ये भी स्वीकार कर बैठे कि हालत ऐसी थी कि साइकिल पर सामान ले जाना पड़ता था, और वो 2014 का पहले का दृश्य था। फिफ्टी का था, वही कह रहा हूं। फिर 50 में कौन थी सरकार और कौन था प्रधानमंत्री? तो यही जवाब आ गया, यही जवाब है, क्योंकि साधनों का अभाव, दिस वॉज दी। वो कैसे पूरा हुआ भी आपको बताएंगे, अभी रात लंबी है, अभी विक्रम के जागने तक हमने भी नहीं सोना है, तो बात लंबी चलेगी। Because they were devoid of resources. They didn't have resources. Even in those days, even 1950, you had carriages. You had truckloads. The honorable members will bear me out. The best means of carrying loads was not the bicycle. That is the difference between then and now. The answer lies in the question itself. दूसरा नहीं अभी आई एम नॉट यील्डिंग बाद में सर बाद में करते हैं बाद में करेंगे सर
अधीर जी आप इनके बाद ही बोलेंगे प्लीज यू लेट हिम कंटिन्यू
कोई बात नहीं दूसरा उन्होंने very rightly enumerated the names of some of the women scientists, and to the amusement of the House, very pointed out in his own way कि यहाँ आरक्षण की आवश्यकता हो सकती है, वहाँ नहीं है क्योंकि वहाँ पहले से ही बहुत सारे women scientists हैं. The again answer lies in the question. The women scientists that he has named are from the generation of scientists which has happened now, not in those days which he was talking about Nehruvian. Today, in fact, हमारा चंद्रयान की भी second project director जो है, assistant projector, is a lady called Kalpana. वो तो आ नहीं पाई, लेकिन Veera Mithuvel, who was named speaker after speaker, was sitting over here in the gallery. I introduced him in the Rajya Sabha. No. That was just to make the House. No, I can't say that he was there in the gallery. No, that is. ठीक है, वो कोई बात नहीं. The idea was that the members should also have a glimpse of him. I'm not referring him, not quoting him. He is now not there because he had to take a flight for Bangalore. The Aditya
अलग तरह से उनको बुला ले
project director,
तो सारे मेंबर मिल लेंगे उनको अलग से बुला ले.
हाँ करेंगे. अभी तो he has left, but we'll call him again. We'll again host him with the members. The Aditya mission is being headed again by a project director called Nijar Shahji. They are all women scientists who have come to the surface, come to the center stage only in the last 10 years. अब अच्छा चलिए उस पर आएंगे उस पर आते हैं. Then it was no, I'll give you figures. I am giving you see when we are debating I don't get disturbed. I'm the last person to get disturbed or distracted. But one thing, when we are discussing science, let us discuss on the basis of facts, figures, and statistics. Yes. No. You are translating figures into politics. I'm simply giving you figures. No, I'm letting, just wait. Let more figures come out. You said the ISRO budget and the space budget is on decline. Now, honorable member will be kind enough to take note of this figure so that she can verify later on. The Department of Space budget in 2013-14 was 5,168 crore 96 lakh. Please, I'll repeat for your convenience, ma'am. 5168.96 crore. The budget in the current financial year is 12,543 crore 91 lakh, an increase of 142.68%. I repeat the figure. So what? If I don't say that, then also so what? No. 142% increase. So what? Come, sit down.
Mantri ji, please.
Now,
Honorable Minister, please address
you ask
the
for
chair.
figures. First, you ask for figures. First, you ask for figures. Then you are replying figures with politics.
Please बैठ जाइए.
This is for your satisfaction, man.
ओहो, बैठ जाइए.
I am requesting honourable member to
Please
check
address
these
the
figures.
chair.
Yes.
So it will be easier.
So, Speaker sir, the total budget of all the science departments is up by 172.55% in the last 9 years. Please take down the figures. In 2013-14, the annual budget for all the science ministries and departments put together was 21,025 crore 6 lakh rupees. Current year it is 57,303 crore 0.69 lakh. So when I talk a figure, you say this is not acceptable. When I talk otherwise, it is not. Now, having said that, now somebody said, rather I have a grievance. One of the members said, why you say that scientists, there are so many scientists in South, they talk only English, they talk only Tamil, they don't talk Hindi. Nobody is imposing Hindi on them. Why I am having a grievance is that ISRO is one of the best bouquets of the composite culture presented by India. You look at the founding Troy, we had Sarabhai, son of Gujarat, from where Honorable C.K. Patil comes. We had Satish Dhawan, a Punjabi, born in Srinagar, Jammu and Kashmir. And then, immediate next generation, we had APJ Kalam from Rameshwaram, son of Tamil Nadu. So why are we demeaning this and trying to say he spoke Tamil, he spoke English, he didn't speak Hindi, why are you saying? Is it not amazing? The founding fathers, 60 years ago, one Punjabi, one Gujarati, one Tamilian. Absolutely. So thank you. No, I appreciate that. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Yeah, Bhabha was there, not very, because later on he drifted to atomic energy. And now, since Madam Kani Mozi has been very kind to compliment me, like a gentleman, I have to return the compliment. Very soon, we will have our next launching station nowhere else but in her constituency of Kurukshetra Patnam in Tamil Nadu. And I just solicit your cooperation. 90% of land acquisition has been done. 10% is left out. You can easily use your good offices to persuade the state government so that we can have a ceremony very soon, and you being the elected representative there would be our important guest. So this is the spirit with which we are working. And ISRO, somebody said in the morning, why Raksha Mantri ji spoke about scriptures. I have been telling all around wherever I go that ISRO is a work model which is worth emulating. Here is a team which never retires. A scientist in ISRO, sir, never retires. He never superannuates. He gives his life to the mission. Even if you see these pictures when you see of landings and other successful missions, you find all the former chairmen sitting side by side. They remain associated. And they follow a cultural SOP which is not seen anywhere else, but which is worth emulating. Before and after every landing, they pay obeisance at Tirupati. And afterwards, how do they celebrate success? You know, sir, they distribute a laddu. इससे सुंदर, इससे पवित्र प्रथा और जिसमें सामूहिक भारत की पूरी संस्कृति झलकती है। और इसलिए संस्कृति को आधुनिकता तक ले जाने की इस यात्रा को आगे बढ़ाने का कारवां हमारा इसरो है। तो इसमें क्या हर्ज है अगर हम संस्कृति को लेकर बात भी करते हैं। Then there was another observation made by Mr. Kanti Chidambaram, who said Science and spirituality have a close relationship. But at the same time, the Raksha Mantri has sought to confuse that. By saying so, he created further confusion. By not letting us know what he meant. As far as I know, Swami Vivekananda said, very simple terms, science begins where religion ends, religion begins where science ends. So I think let's go home, ponder on that, educate ourselves on that. Then he said, very sarcastically, because possibly he is also known to be an intellectual, he said, I'm not sure whether after 1,000 years this building will stand, this new building of Parliament House. Everybody of us heard? He's expressed doubt that this new building we have shifted in, it's unlike those monumental buildings built by the earlier generations and the temples. And he compared it with this building and said, who knows whether after 1,000 years this will stand. My humble request is that all of us, he and us, can wait for 3 more generations. Let the 5th generation Chidambaram come to this house elected and decide whether he is in this house or other house. Why should we be judgmental? Just to score a point? And because that creates a little bit of spice? We can use this. I can use this in plenty. If he is 2nd generation politician, let us wait for the 5th generation of the same family. Whether the 5th generation Chidambaram is there in this house or some other house. And then the history decide. What I am trying to say is, sir, let us raise the level of this discussion instead of trying to hit below the belt. This is called hitting below the belt. And I think I am quite competent of doing that. But I am avoiding from doing that. Then, just want to share an information. He also said that many people do not know where is ISRO. Exactly. That is true. And many people do not know ISRO because, and it is true, that till a few years ago, whenever a launching happened, in a remote column of a remote newspaper, you will find one column, Sriharikota. Nobody could figure out where is Sriharikota. This change has happened only since 2020. Now, who was the Prime Minister, who is the government, I'm not going to say because that will create problems. No. 2020, the gates of Sriharikota were thrown open. Aditya launching was watched by 10,000 spectators. 10,000 spectators, you can verify. The pictures are there, videos are. On the side, watching the launching with their naked eye. The same place where earlier you had just 10 members of the team, all forbidden. Who did that? The earlier governments. The same government whose member is alleging this. The allegation is made by a member of the party which was responsible for that. Chandrayaan launching. Speaker, sir, during Chandrayaan launching, there were 1,000 media persons at the site of launching. Suddenly, within 10 minutes of launching, there was a tweet from one of the friends from the Congress party, because some of us are very active in tweet, so am I, so are they. He said, what is different? Why this halla gulla? And the media person confronted me. He said, see, your friend from the Congress party has written this tweet. What is new? Any response? I said, you tell me, when did you come here last? He said, I'm coming here for the first time. I said, this is new. Media was forbidden, everybody was forbidden. So that is the difference. All the stakeholders have been brought together. A healthy synergy has been sought to be made between startups, between academia, between researchers, between industry. Because it's our confirmed belief, it's our considered view that if we have to grow further, if we have to live up to global parameters, if we have to discharge a global role, we have to live up to the global benchmarks, and we have to develop global strategies. Please,
you do not forget the failures.
No, you are. I'll come to that also. I thought you studied science streams better than me. Chandrayaan, now if I come to that, let me first, because professor is an honorable professor for all of us.
Lot of misgivings.
But sometimes the students,
Lot of misgivings
sometimes
are
students
there
grow up to
relating
become.
Chandrayaan 2.
Yes, sir.
It is better you
No, I'm
clear
sure.
all those
no, but,
cobwebs,
yes, I'll continue.
because it has been
just
repeatedly
in
said.
half a minute, I respond to the professor, and I'm sure the professor
No,
will
it
be
is
glad
better
to.
you clear the cobwebs.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
In this discussion today, many members said it is a failure. It is only one part which has
Exactly,
failed,
sir.
whereas there are
No,
number
what
of
I'm
other
trying, that
things
is
which are successful.
what I'm trying to
It
say
is still rotating for 3 years.
what I'm trying to say is, एक मिनट, अरे भाई एक मिनट यार, अरे रमेश जी, अरे रमेश जी बात, अरे छोड़ो ना, ओहो, चल यार एकेडमिक बात, एक मिनट है, और रमेश जी, यार ठहरो ना, एकेडमिक की बात चल रही है, एकेडमिक चल रहा है, ठीक है, और आई एम ग्लैड प्रोफेसर, ओ भाई एक मिनट यार, बात तो करना, आई एम ग्लैड दैट प्रोफेसर, यार एक मिनट, अच्छा भाषा चल रहा है मालूम, आई एम ग्लैड दैट प्रोफेसर हैज पुट दिस क्वेरी, एंड आई एम ग्लैड, एंड आई एम श्योर प्रोफेसर विल टेक प्राइड in seeing that his student is capable of giving him new thought, not teaching but a thought. So a professor should be happiest when he finds his student turning into a teacher. Sir, it was not a failure. Because as the Honorable Speaker said, it is still working. On the last minute, that procedure which had to happen did not happen as it was calculated to the last moment. Otherwise, it would not be communicating. In fact, Chandrayaan 2 and 3 are talking to each other, saying good morning to each other every morning. And even now, when we are waiting for Vikram and Pragyan to wake up, if the circuit gets charged and we are waiting for the temperature to rise, we will not be surprised they receive a good morning or a hello from Chandrayaan 2. Second, even if you go by statistics, as I said in science, let's talk by statistics. Most of the other missions which landed on the moon were unsuccessful in the first attempt. America, more than 3 times. We have been unsuccessful, if at all, only once. Now, coming back to the, yes, so I now settled why ISRO was not known then and known now. But the important point is that it has given us multiple outcomes. Sir, huge investment of industry with the new policy having come in. B, a sense of belonging to the whole nation. Why the entire nation was glued to the TV screen? Because it was whole of government plus whole of nation. Every citizen of India felt as if it was his or her mission. Because this government had liberated it from that veil of secrecy. I don't know why we had to work in that confidentiality for all these years, where everything is being watched by Google. So it was not giving us any reward, but we were restraining ourselves from getting the benefit of the resources available. That has been undone. Then, rather, the same member said, why not give ISRO fellowships? Maybe when you, actually what happens is, sir, in the parliament also, when we make up our mind to score some political points, we sometimes tend to lose the factual points, because the orientation then becomes more politically directioned. If he had just referred to us or referred to some source, he would have realized that not only the fellowships are being given, in fact, this government, and I was personally taking interest, I realized that most of our training institutes, the best one of them in Kerala, of course, no doubt, when Mr. Premnath's constituency, the Premchandji. So Trivandrum is one of the best institutes we have in space technology teaching. 100% placement. It's a batch of about 160. The selection is done through IIT JEE, the same form, but many people were not aware of it. So I thought we should try to expand. Only 3 years back, I thought we should start from Northeast and North. So we started one similar center in Northeast, in Agartala, in the premises of NIT Agartala. So same kind of department, same selection pattern through IIT JEE and same course. The other one from north, the northernmost territory, Central University of Jammu. So we have already, in fact, launched ourselves in expanding the range of academics as far as the teaching of space is concerned. Now, the other part is that what has happened now? Now, let me talk, I'm not discussing prime ministers. You are only discussing again and again. I'm not even naming anybody. But let us trust. We have to trust somebody. Can we trust the global parameters? Before 2014, in Space Department, in fact, even before 2019 or so, we had only 4 startups. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. After we opened up in 2020, we have 150 startups. The world is watching, it can be verified. And the earlier ones like Skyroutes have become lucrative entrepreneurs. If you see the startup as a whole, we were only 350 to 400 till 2014. Now, in 9 years, we have gone up to 1,25,000 and more than 110 unicorns. It's not, nobody has said that the earlier governments didn't do anything. That's not the intention also. Even the Honorable Prime Minister has been reiterating that. Nobody has said that. I don't know why some of us sitting that side are very keen or feeling guilty to say, no, it happened only in our times. But the fact points out that if you see the Independence Day addresses of all the Prime Ministers, Nehru delivered 17 Independence Day addresses. Present Prime Minister has delivered 10 so far. The intent and the priority of the government in place is reflected in the Independence Day address. That is a declaration of the intent of the government of its future plans and priorities and flagship schemes. In the 2014 Independence Day address from Red Fort, Prime Minister's address refers to Swachhata, cleanliness, and addresses the problem of urinary tract infection and other diseases happening in young adolescent girls, and many of them suffering from avoidable agony because of the lack of toilets. Again, a scientific declaration. In 2015, Prime Minister's address in Independence Day says, Start up India, stand up India. And the following year, there is a startup scheme. हाँ तो स्टार्टअप भारत कर दो, अच्छी बात है.
Sir,
I think we will accept it.
The government should consider.
Yes, sir, no problem. Then, see, Dada, this happens when you are thinking of how to make a political counter. The casualty is the fact. You understand very well what I mean by saying, and yet you want to deviate. But I am not that easily vulnerable to deviations. The next address of the Prime Minister says, Digital India, Digital Bharat. Okay. Again, a scientific declaration. The next address, 4th one, says, e-governance. The subsequent address says, deep sea mission. And two consecutive addresses of the Prime Minister from the Red Fort are referring to deep sea mission. We have 7,500 kilometer long coastal area, longest in the world, beginning from Odisha up to Maharashtra, Gujarat, Kutch. Nobody had ever looked at that. Well, okay, one of the longest, conceded. But nobody had looked at that. The Samudrayan has been launched a few years back, and the huge wealth that lies underneath, metals, minerals, biodiversity, that is going to be discovered now. Then Gaganyaan finds mention in one of the Prime Minister addresses in the Independence Day. And when he said that India has decided to send a human being. नहीं, announcement इसका Independence Day address में हुआ है, चेक करें दादा. what I'm trying to say is, I'm not talking, see, I don't know why you want to make this debate Nehru versus somebody. You are obsessed with it, I'm not, because I have the facts on my side. I'm giving you dates. I am saying, Prime Minister, I'm making a very holistic, a very academic statement. A Prime Minister's address from ramparts of Red Fort on Independence Day is considered to be a declaration of intent by the entire world, of the government in place, whichever the party. Now I am referring to 10 addresses from the highest forum and the theme they carried, which was primarily scientific. So that establishes the kind of priority that this government gives to science, the scientists, and the scientific endeavors. Now, two more things. Now coming back to the parameters. In startup, I was talking of startup ecosystem because Dada interrupted me. We are 1,25,000 startups, but at the same time, the world has today recognized Bharat as number 3 ecosystem in startup. Now, I am not saying this, Treasury not saying this, Prime Minister Modi not saying this, the world saying this. Now, what can I tell them? Don't say that we are number 3, because the Nehruvian followers will not like it. See, let us be logic. We are talking science. Even in discussing science, we are not logic. Then, Global Innovation Index, one of the most respectable universal index to measure a country's innovation capacity. We were position 81 in 2014. So in 65 years, we reached 81. I am not saying which government, which prime minister. Please, spare me of this. I am talking like a student of science. But the fact is that today we are 40. So what I am trying to say is that this jump of 41 has happened only in the last 9 years. Now, if you say why this happened, it shouldn't have happened, because Nehru is not the Prime Minister. Please, for heaven's sake, let us raise this debate. I can go on and on. I have read books on Nehruvian blunders, beginning from the famous Himalayan blunder which Brigadier Dhalvi wrote after 1962. I have the same penchant to read books, but I'm not getting into that, because that's not the case. This is something that each has to celebrate, and we have to put our heads together. So, now, the whole day it has been Nehru. Now coming to, yes, wholesome, that's what I'm saying. Now coming to space economy. Because in the times to come, when we say in 25 years we'll be at that pedestal, of course the value addition has to come from somewhere. Where will it come? It will come from those resources which have remained unexplored or underexplored. One is, of course, the huge ocean resource that I refer. The other is, of course, the Himalayan resource. We have vast Himalayan range, 3-4 states lying in the lap of Himalaya, beginning from Uttarakhand, Himachal Pradesh, etc. And Roma mission has also been begun, which has given India a unique identity of a purple revolution and agri-tech startups. Now, in space economy, I have all the modesty to say we are not a very big economy as of today. No, I didn't wait for you to say that if Nehru was there, it should not have happened. I'm saying Nehru or no Nehru. We are only 8 billion. It is 8 billion economy today. We are $8 billion US. But the second point is, we reached $8 billion US in 70 years or 75 years our projection is that by 2040 we will be 40 billion. So $8 billion in 75 years and a jump of up to 40 billion in next 15 years. And if you don't believe me that the projection is being quoted inappropriately, then very recently there was a report last week called ADL report. This other D little report, one of these projectionists of the international agencies. They have said that even though India is projecting that they might reach 40 billion US dollar by 2040, but our anticipation is that they will go higher up to $100 billion. This is a projection made by a non-Indian agency because, according to them, India has started moving on a very fast track, which didn't happen earlier. Bharat has started moving on a very fast track, which didn't happen earlier. Now the world is recognizing this. When the Honorable Prime Minister was in Washington, D.C., it was the Americans who solicited that Indian astronauts should accompany them to the International Space Station. That means they believe the credibility of our astronauts. The Artemis Agreement was solicited by them. They also put the offer that we should be part of their semiconductor consortium. So, what I'm not talking anything subjectively. I'm talking of what the world is saying. Now, the point is that and something to celebrate. Like when we reached fifth economy, we were 10th economy in 2014. When we reached fifth economy, there was huge celebration across, except for some of the cynics. But I was pleasantly amused that celebration also because we had overtaken United Kingdom. Similarly, as was mentioned this morning, I think also by the Raksha Mantri, the same America, which took off much earlier than us, has today generated for us a revenue of 174 million US dollars by hiring our launching pads. And out of that, 157 million US dollars have happened only in the last 9 years, almost 90%. We were talking of Himalayas, we are talking of oceans. We have a huge resource of biodiversity. But, Honorable Speaker, sir, you know, in 2014, the number of biotech startups in India was only 50. 50. Today, it is 6,000. Our biotech economy, because we have entered into biomanufacturing. Now, in the next part, let's put our heads together and try to understand why this has happened. Because many of us don't feel comfortable that it has happened. Our biotech economy in 2014 was $10 billion. So in 70 years, 10 billion. Today it is 80 billion, 8 times higher in 9 years. So virtually 1 billion every year we have increased. And the projection is 150 billion by 2050. Now the question is, notwithstanding Nehru or not Nehru, something might have happened which the world says India has gone on fast track. जब कोई खिलाड़ी जो सुस्ता के चल रहा था, जिसको दुनिया बहुत संजीदगी से लेती नहीं थी, वो इतनी तेज रफ्तार दौड़ में आ गया कि दूसरे लोग चौकन्ना हो गए, तो आखिर पूछना तो पड़ेगा क्या बूस्टर खाया उसने, उसको कौन सा दूध पिलाया गया, उसको कहां से ऊर्जा आई. हम बात नहीं कर रहे किसी प्रधानमंत्री की, लेकिन कुछ ना कुछ तो हुआ होगा या कोई जादू की छड़ी चली होगी. The world today is looking up to us. So the reason, space. Why had other countries progressed? Because they had not confined themselves only to the narrow domain of the public sector. And it's my belief also that time has come when the demarcation between public and private is going to vanish away. Today we have heavy engagement of the industry in ISRO after the new policy came in 4 years ago. We have set up an interface agency called InSpace. InSpace, that stands for Indian Space Application Corporation, something like that, which coordinates between private sector and public sector. And the head of that is a person from corporate sector. He was working with one of the corporate houses, not a government person. नहीं वो भी आते हैं. That is different. वो भी आएंगे. That case. No, India has won that case. Dada, India has won that case. I'm coming to that later on. I'll come to that. That is a legacy problem. Now, and then a new PSU has been set up called NSIL, New Space India Limited, to collaborate with the private companies, which has led to a sudden upsurge in investment. It's been thrown open. And coupled with this will be the National Research Foundation of India, of Bharat, which has been given a truly Bharatiya name called Anusandhan. So the name of Bharat's National Research Foundation is Anusandhan. And the hallmark is that nearly 80 or 75% of the budget would be from the non-government sources. If we have a 50,000 crore budget for 5 years, 36,000 crore will come from non-government sectors. It will be an umbrella body consisting of academics, scientists, researchers, huge presence of industrial representation. Also, sir, keeping the Indian context in mind, the Bharatiya context in mind, it will have representation from social sciences, from humanities, so that we do not lose out to our traditional ethos while deciding our future projects. And it will also decide what kind of collaborations do we engage in our foreign alliances, so that we remain globally competitive. It will have a governing body, it will have an executive council, and the executive council will be headed not by a government secretary,
Mr. Minister, just a minute.
but by a principal
Just a
secretary.
minute. The House was extended till 8 o'clock. I seek the permission of the House if we can extend it by another 1 hour.
Sir, now,
Thank you.
so what as an honest student of research, I am trying to understand what might have happened which has brought this quantum leap, which has generated a country worldwide interest in India. If there is something more to add, you can do that. But at least let's understand. It's not just for saying that now, since this is the government in place and this has happened, this government has taken some measures. It has provided an enabling milieu, which was lacking. We had no dearth of acumen. We had so much of commitment, as was rightly mentioned by one of the members here, that Sarabhai, when he was not given transfer facility, he carried the baggage on his carriage. But we did not. We gave him enabling environment so that they could put their potentials to the best use. Secondly, we were also, the deficiency was at the level of policy planning, at the level of the political leadership. We were waiting for other countries to come out with a new scientific application, use it. When it became popular, then we suddenly woke up. For example, I mentioned in the other house also, television, just take that example. It happened in America in 1950s. Dada knows more than me. The 1960 debate, presidential debate, was the determining point between Nixon and John Kennedy. And suddenly John Kennedy turned the tables on Nixon on the basis of a TV debate. In 1960 here, we were wondering, what is TV, what is debate, kahan hota hai screen, kahan se bolta hai. We had never seen, we had never heard. Here it came to close to 1970, that was also Chitrahar. That too somewhere in Delhi. In Tamil Nadu, sir, it came in 1975. The match happened. I was there. In Chepak, a test match happened. And the first time, a black and white television telecast was put up. So we waited 15 years for a new scientific innovation to be adopted in this country. Similar was the case with the computers. Today, look at quantum technology, which one of the members was mentioning.
Yes.
We are today among 3 or 4 nations, that league of elite nations, who are into quantum technology, and we have institutionalized it through mission, Indian Quantum Mission, or you can call it Bharat Quantum Mission, which was rolled out only 6 months back. Which government, which prime minister, it is for you to decide. It has happened now. In other words, it's a matter of pride for all of us. We are now not only have taken a giant leap, we are at the same level. And in certain ways, we are even ahead of others. If you take our medical science, again, going back to Premchandji's state, our Chitra there is producing medical equipment which is not only world class, which is cost effective. We have mastered this skill and shown it to the world. How to develop world class space missions, world class scientific equipment, world class projects at a cost which is just 1/10 of the other cost. Yes, Sri Chitra. What I'm trying to say is something that all of us have to feel proud about. Now, if you go, before I conclude, some of the landmarks that has happened, if you talk only in this ways. During the last 9 years, we have not only confined ourselves to the launching of rockets. Rocket का launch होना अच्छा लगता है, एक अच्छा दृश्य बनता है. It is, seeing a spaceship going to moon is a very romantic scene. It's because it's part of our fantasy. We have grown up seeing that. But there is much more to space technology than this. Today, space technology has entered every Indian household. We have not confined ourselves only to the launching of rockets. आपका एग्रीकल्चर सेक्टर देख लीजिए, सारा स्पेस टेक्नोलॉजी से चल रहा है. सॉइल हेल्थ कार्ड चल रहे हैं, टेलीमेडिसिन ऑफ कोर्स इज देयर, स्मार्ट सिटीज, अनमैन्ड रेल क्रॉसिंग्स, रेलवे ट्रैक्स, रोड्स, ब्रिड्ज, डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट. वी आर number 1 in the world as far as our disaster forecast and prediction is concerned. That again, because earlier on, only radar was used for weather and other forecasts. Now we have combined it with space technology. I'm not saying that this should not have happened earlier, or maybe these are also march of times which happens. But we have done it. Wherever we thought it could do it, we have done. We have done to the best of the ability. Which as the result of which is that our disaster inputs are now being received even by neighboring countries. In 2017, precisely on the 5th of May, a South Asia satellite was launched, which is popularly also sometimes called SARC satellite, which is providing inputs to all the neighboring countries, including Sri Lanka, Bhutan, Nepal, Bangladesh. Pakistan decided to remain out of it. It is to their disadvantage. And somebody said 600 crore is too much. The Raksha Mantri ji was trying to respond to that. I think the amount of money that we have saved simply by averting disasters is much more than the amount spent on Chandrayaan. And Aditya is just about 380 crore. Similarly, of course, somebody already mentioned the world record of 104 satellites launched in one go. We have some of our space projects are being cited as role models across the world. One of them is Swamitva program. Swamitva is a very fascinating program by which you map the land's reforms. So it eliminates the revenue departments, eliminates corruption, brings in transparency. You don't have to approach a patwari or a tahsildar, you can yourself access. So combining space technology with drones. Similarly, the other program which is being cited as a role model is Gati Shakti. Gati Shakti is another program we started by this government a few years back, where you have multiple layers. Whenever you are starting a new project, automatically you get the information. Where lies what? The forest, is it forbidden? It is prohibited. What about the rail tracks there, the rail pipes there? So you don't waste time and money. So some of our success stories are in fact being now cited in the rest of the world as well. And if we go simply by the scientific feats as such, I think somebody said scientists have gone abroad because you are not providing them enough. Yes, they went abroad because you didn't have startup avenues for them. You didn't have new institutes for them. If somebody did a course in space, either he had to get absorbed in ISRO or remain unemployed. Today we have opened up that. And as a result, many of these young scientists are willing to come back, and seeing that, we have now started a program called Vaibhav program under Department of Science and Technology, where we facilitate the return of a young scientist who wants to come back, and if he wants to take up a government job, we even give relaxation in the age, the upper limit of age. We are conscious of that because now they are finding avenues here. In fact, now this is going to be reverse brain drain. This happened because they were, now I was referring to Mr. Premchand's institute in Trivandrum, 160 admissions, 100% placement, but where? 60% of them went to NASA because you didn't have a place to absorb them. Now many of them are becoming startups. They are finding their own means. And this is a whole ecosystem which has been brought by this government. This also includes the new education policy, which is also called National Education Policy 2020. I said the other day, this National Education Policy should have happened several decades ago. I'm not saying in Nehru's time, but it made us prisoner of our aspirations. Somebody objected to that. I explained why. Suppose my father wants me to become a doctor. I don't get admission after class 12. What do? I do BSc, either botany or zoology. Then after that, what do? Civil services. I don't get, what do? I do MSc. Try for a teaching job, UGC, university. Don't get, what do? Do PhD. So I get stuck up in that stream. This National Education Policy 2020 gives you the liberty to go by your aptitude, to go by your taste. As you evolve, you can also make a choice. After class 12, if I don't get the choice of my stream or my subject or my profession, which I can change my subjects. I can have economics and botany. I can have economics and literature. It has exit entry. I can leave the college and come back. Once, sir, Dada will be interested to listen. The Vice Chancellor of Cambridge University, about 5 years back, he was a professor of microbiology from the same profession, medical education. There the teachers don't retire in US. They carry on, like Dada continues. So here we have retired. So he's fond of me. Whenever he was here in India, he would call me up and I would go to see him. So he told me, Doc, I must compliment students from India. If I didn't have students from Bharat, my PhD would be closed. All my PhDs from India. So when I came out, after having met him, there was another doctor with me. I said, what is a compliment or otherwise? He said, what do you mean? I said, the old gentleman doesn't know. In his country, or a boy or a girl will go in for a PhD only if he or she has decided to devote the rest of the life to research. Here I go for PhD for a trophy. Get a PhD in biotechnology, come back and become a manager in a computer company. Nobody knows. This disconnect between education, learning and skill and the vocation you follow was happening because of the old education policy. And you produce a huge lot of population who came to be very infamously known as educated unemployed, sitting at dharnas outside all the political offices. So this whole ecosystem is what is going to change the entire face of India and make it globally much, much more acceptable, competitive. And when we say in the next 25 years, we will be reaching that spot. We have already started the journey. The world is looking up to us. Gone are the days when India was looking for cues, India was waiting to be led by others. Today, world is ready to be led by Bharat under the leadership of Prime Minister